You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
Welcome back into another episode of Talkin Ball, everyone. I'm Pat Leonard, the New York Daily News NFL columnist and Giants beat writer. We have a great guest today, Keion Crossen, the cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, made some big plays in a huge Dolphins win over the Buffalo Bills 21-19. The Dolphins, one of only two undefeated teams remaining at 3-0, entering Thursday Night Football in Cincinnati. But before we get to the Dolphins, I want to talk about the other undefeated team in the NFL right now, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles, specifically their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback, right? That's what he does. He uses his legs. Defenses, when he came into the league, were daring him to pass, forcing him to pass, believing he couldn't beat them that way. Right now, he leads the NFL in yards per attempt completion, 9.4. The Eagles lead the NFL in yards per game, 447 per. 296 passing yards per game, that's third in the league, 150 rushing. One turnover, an interception, in 3 games committed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you look at the Dolphins, you look at the Eagles. What is the shared quality that these teams have right now at 3-0? Now, they're different teams, different rosters. They both have offensive-minded head coaches. You have Nick Sirianni, you have Mike McDaniel down in Miami. And you also have speed and skill, serious speed and serious skill at the wide receiver positions. The Eagles are the only team with 3 different receivers who have already, through 3 weeks, caught 45-yard or more passes from their quarterback. That would be, of course, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins. The Eagles and the Miami Dolphins each have completed 5 passes so far this season of 40-plus. Obviously, you look at Tua Tagovailoa and what he has going with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And the Dolphins defense did a ton of work, played 90-plus snaps to withstand and beat the Buffalo Bills. And the defense deserves as much credit as anybody. But big plays from the Eagles, big plays from the Dolphins have been the difference in these games offensively, especially in a league and a season right now where we've seen a lot of too high safety looks around the league. Points seem to be down. A lot of the explosive offenses we are expecting to take off have not, but these two are. The Eagles are boat racing teams. They were up at halftime on the Minnesota Vikings in week 2, 24-7. They were up 24-0 at half against Washington. They embarrassed Ron Rivera's team. That wasn't even a game. And Devontae Smith, if the Giants didn't already feel bad about watching him get stolen right out from under their noses in the draft last year when the Eagles and the Cowboys swung that deal. Man, oh man, you're talking about a top 10, top 5 type talent with the speed, with the athleticism, with the hands. What a player Devontae Smith is. And with A.J. Brown on the field, the Eagles have the kind of firepower where Jalen Hurts' arm needs to be honored because he has the skill position players to take the field and stretch it, but he's also improved consistently as a thrower. And I think when we look at Jalen Hurts, drafted in the second round, even when that happened, even when Howie Roseman took him, everybody didn't really believe, didn't think, didn't know what he would become in the NFL. But when you look back at his college career, it always stood out to me, and I will never forget. I think sometimes we overthink these evaluations. When he got benched in the national championship game for Tua Tagovailoa in that 2017 national championship game, and Tua helps them, and so does Devontae Smith, to get that victory and win the national title. The mental strength and the resilience that Hurts showed in just sucking it up, biding his time, dealing with that kind of national embarrassment, and then staying ready, staying there, supporting the player who replaced him, and then being available and being prepared and being ready for the moment almost a year later in the 2018 SEC championship game when Tua goes down, gets hurt, and Hurts comes in and leads them to 14 points and a victory. That always stuck with me. There's so much about so many of these players that sometimes we overthink. But I don't think enough attention was paid to the level of poise, maturity, and ability that Hurts showed in that sequence. I think his intangibles are off the charts. If he's not a franchise quarterback, I don't know who is, based on how he acts, how he's playing. And you listen to him after the Eagles games, and this is the scary thing in the NFC right now. If you're looking at the Eagles and trying to compete with them, Hurts is right when he tells his teammates especially after the last two wins, that the Eagles are leaving a lot on the table. They're taking these big leads and then they're not stacking in the second half. The defense obviously smothered Kirk Cousins with turnovers forced, Darius Slay, and they have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. But the Eagles haven't even really reached their full potential, and this is what they're doing to teams so far. Now, it's a big one here in week 4. Eagles against Doug Pederson, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pederson, obviously, you look at him right now, Coach of the Year candidate. Mike McDaniel in Miami, Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. Obviously, you have to mention him as well. But what Pederson has done, I mean, it was nowhere to go but up going from Urban Meyer. And I'm proud to say I think I was on point in predicting that Jacksonville would turn around pretty quickly. But you have to see it before most people are going to believe it. 2-1 Jaguars look like they're for real. They're going to win that AFC South division, barring major injuries. Trevor Lawrence, with the kind of talent he has and the kind of coaching he's getting now, sky is the limit for what he's going to be able to do. But this will be a really interesting test for Philadelphia. The Packers were my Super Bowl pick. Their defense obviously continues to be impressive, even though the offense isn't explosive. And I really can't tell you what the Aaron Rodgers offense and receiving core is going to look like 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, and if they can go all the way, if they don't add to it. And that's the team I think that remains the biggest and toughest contender, even when a team like Philly is playing this way and looks like they're separating themselves from the pack. But the Eagles fronts have always been good. Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, going back to when Pederson was running the team, and now with Sirianni, their ability to stack offensive and defensive linemen and to hit on these players in the draft and to reinforce with depth, that is the recipe for staying relevant in the NFL. Even when the Eagles had a dip, here they are right back in it, looking like a team that nobody wants to play. And it starts up front. I know it's a cliche, but that's exactly where it is in Philadelphia. But the reason they're at another level right now is because of Jalen Hurts. And Howie Roseman's sitting there now with 2 first-round picks in next year's NFL draft. And at the moment, it looks like Hurts is the guy. And instead of chasing the quarterback of the future, he has his quarterback in the here and now. And it's scary for the rest of the NFC East right now and the rest of the NFC to look at a team that looks so strong, so complete, and barring injury, looks like they could run away with the division and possibly even with home field advantage if teams aren't able to solve their 1-2 punch. And how could you, given how strong of a running team, how great they are on the ground, how dynamic Hurts and Miles Sanders are with that offensive line in front of them, led by Jason Kelce at center. But A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, especially with Dallas Goedert at tight end, there's just too many weapons. So a fascinating matchup against their old coach, Doug Pederson. And I think we're looking here at a team that, when all is said and done, is for real and has earned every bit of its 3-0 record, standing atop the NFL standings alongside the explosive and intriguing Miami Dolphins as a team to be reckoned with for the rest of this year. We'll be right back here on Talkin Ball with Keion Crossen, cornerback for the Miami Dolphins. All right, welcome back to Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard. We have a very special guest this week, Miami Dolphins corner Keion Crossen. The Dolphins, one of only two undefeated teams remaining at 3-0 in the NFL, and Keion has been a huge part of that start. Keion, thanks so much for joining me.
No, thank you, Pat.
So, Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, played some time in Houston with the Giants, got to know each other a little bit in New York, but you are flourishing now in Miami. And let's just start right there. Why are you flourishing so much? Why are you making big plays in key spots on defense like you did against Gabe Davis in, I believe it was the third quarter of this enormous win against the Buffalo Bills?
Well, it all starts with just confidence as a player. First off, obviously, I'm known widely around the league as just a special teamer. So I think I'm kind of undermined for my cornerback skill and play. So it's not a shock to me that I made the play. It's just preparation, the belief in with Coach Boyer and the defensive coaching staff as well as Coach McDaniel's believing to put me in that situation and knowing I'm gonna make the play. So it's just preparation, man. And like I say, it's not a shock to me. Maybe a shock to everybody else, but I know I'm a pretty solid cornerback. So I always say opportunity comes, and sometimes it only comes once. And when you do get your opportunity, your chance, just try to take advantage of it. And that's what I did in that moment.
Can you walk me through that play? Because I believe it was 2nd and goal from the 11. And Josh Allen is one of the, if not the best quarterback in the league. So I guess you got to be ready for the ball to be put anywhere on the field. So can you walk me through how you make that kind of play to force Buffalo to a field goal in what was eventually a 2-point win? So one of the game-winning plays that was made by Miami in that game.
I think as a player, you got to just understand your personnel. Gabe Davis is, one of the go-to guys, especially in the red zone area. Honestly, the switch that was made from me to X in that situation, obviously was, it's kind of like an in-game situation. You don't really know what's going to happen, but things come up, guys cramp, things happen. You just got to be ready to play. So I knew just from preparation, was watching the first half, pretty locked in, seeing what he was doing. But I knew once I got to that red zone area from about the 15 in, I knew Gabe was a big jump ball guy. So I was expecting a fade or a back shoulder from him, just because of, quarterbacks see me out there. They always think height difference, but my arms make me like 6'3". So as you can see, it helped me out with the play for sure.
Yeah.
But long story short, I expected some kind of fade or back shoulder. So I try to lock off the inside slant to make sure he does go outside. And then I just tried to play through the V of the neck. Once I seen his shoulders turn, I knew, okay, it's some kind of like back shoulder play. Obviously, he's a little taller, so he's probably got a little bit more reach. So I always try to play on the come down because you got to get 2 feet in anyway. So you can jump high as you want, go get the ball, but you got to get 2 feet in. So once I see him go up, I try to attack the V of the neck and try to get my right arm around his body. So when he goes to tuck the ball, that it catches my hand so I can just flip the ball out, which is kind of what happened. So like I say, me and Matt Rouge, we work on that a whole lot, which is obviously the defensive back assistant coach. We work on that a ton, and as well as Pat and Coach Sam and Steve, we work on that stuff a lot. So, like I said, it wasn't a shock to me when the play showed his face. I was able to deliver for my teammates and keep the drive going.
Did this win mean more? I mean, you guys have beaten 3 good teams, right? Patriots, Ravens, Buffalo. But with the Bills being in division, and I believe they had won 7 straight against the Dolphins. Obviously, you weren't here in those previous years, but did this game and this win have a feeling of meaning more to you guys?
I think it meant more, not because we beat the Bills, because obviously, as players, you want to beat every team you face. I think it meant more for us because of the preparation that we did all summer. We always, been counted out. Even in the first 3 games, we was counted out. And I think it's just the notion of proving media, proving not only to them, but proving to ourselves that we know what we can do, what we prepare for. And Coach McDaniel always say adversity creates opportunity. So we've won 3 games, and I think this is what matters to us a lot. We've won 3 games in 3 different fashions. We was up in the first game versus the Patriots the whole game. Second game was down the entire game versus the Ravens. And third game was a tight battle all game when it comes to finishing. And I think when you see that as a team, you know that, okay, we're moving into the right direction. Now, how consistent can we be in holding and continuing to develop good routine aspects as far as finishing games, playing well, complementary football, and obviously winning, which is what we're all trying to do here.
Why does or how does Mike McDaniel get you guys to believe in buy-in? Because it's funny. I know he's a smart football mind. You can see that people respond to him, but he's 39 years old and he looks like you'd like to just sit on the couch and hang out and talk rather than he'd be giving some fiery speech at halftime of an NFL football game. But obviously the results are right there for all of us to see. One of only 2 undefeated teams in the league. Can you take us kind of behind the scenes of how he gets the team going, how he gets you guys prepared, and why so far he's been the right coach for this team?
I think in many situations, you think of a coach and you think rah rah, get the team ready, big loud speech, get a fire lit under you, and I think he just keeps it very plain Jane and simple, and he speaks about reality. And the reality is, you may be up in some games, you may be down in some games, and the problem isn't where you're at in that situation. The problem is how would you respond in those situations. And the simple solution that we always say, like you said, is adversity creates opportunity. If you're down, find a way to get to stay together and figure a way to dig yourselves out the hole. If you're up, how consistent can you be to continue to play well to hold the lead? And if it's a tight game, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as we're all doing our job, our 111, and continue to play as a team, that's what motivates us. It's not a big rah-rah speech. It's just understanding the reality of what the game brings. And then at the end of the day, if you mess up, hey, you're not the first player to mess up. You won't be the last player to mess up. And at the end of the day, he gives you that confidence. I'm sure, as you can see in Tua, it gives you just that confidence, man, that you can break through a brick wall, foundated by a metal plate. He just gives you that confidence that helps you know that you can really, be somebody and be the best player that you can be, not only for this football team, but for yourself and for your own personal goals as well.
So Tua, I'm glad you mentioned him. So how much of what he's doing is it was already there and just the doubters didn't know? How much of that is Mike McDaniel just instilling a little bit of belief and self-confidence and positive reinforcement? And how much of that is 2 speedsters out on the outside and, hey, it's easier to throw the ball downfield when Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are running, 4 threes?
No, first off, I think any kind of level of confidence from any coach gives the player that edge. If you get a coach that's going to keep beating you up, knock you down, and what so forth, have it be, I think that shows a different obviously reaction because every player is different, every coach is different. But I think in the situation with McDaniel and Tua, I think they just have a great connection. They understand each other, and it's just a great chemistry they have going on. And like I say, they went out and scouted and recruited some great guys such as Tariq and brung guys in to make sure that we have threats for him. And I think, everybody grows as a player. Tua's, I mean, he was a young player, a couple years ago. So there's a learning curve that you have to get past. That's for every position. And the quarterback position is one of the hardest positions on the field. So I think once, I'm sure as you can tell, his play development has grown tremendously. He has some guys he can throw to, and at the end of the day, he has a confidence that of a lion that you can't shake. So at the end of the day, man, kudos to Tua, man, and I hope he has great success in his career, and I hope he continues to have success this year and keep proving those doubters wrong. I always tell him before the game, hey, you don't got to prove it to nobody but yourself, dude.
That's a great thing for him to hear from from a guy who has good perspective on the game. I listened to you talk about the offense, talk about how the defense is coming together.
Mm-hmm.
What was the offseason and camp like? It sounds like it must have been so competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, with the speed on both sides of the ball, and then now us seeing Tua throwing these deep shots, the 2 touchdowns in the comeback against the Ravens, the 45-yarder to Waddle, which is one of the plays of the game here
Mm-hmm.
against the Bills on a touchdown
Yeah.
drive. Were you seeing these things happening in practice? And then how much were you and the corners and the secondary getting out of facing this offensive attack?
I mean, yeah, we see a lot of this at practice. Like I said, it's nothing new to us.
Yeah.
We see it, and we love to see it, especially from our offense because we know they're explosive. And like I said, it helps us out as DBs, not only in defense mode, but also to see those type of routes because obviously we're going to get them in the game. Obviously, a lot of people always question our secondary. Are they good? Are they down with Byron? This and this. There's always something. So, I always say like the no name defense of the 72 team. Everybody's just out here to play and make a play, man. At the end of the day, we're playing good team ball, and what I'm saying, whether it's two in the duos or even Rivercraft coming in, stepping in, and doing this thing, man, or is X on the defense with E-Rob and Christian. It's just everybody's making a play, and everybody's just bought into the process of the preparation that we've done all summer. So, like I said, in the summer, we had, I would say 100% of the guys was here. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
I mean, we was really brought in. A couple guys may have had little things here and there, but for the most part, on a daily average, it was about 98% guys that was there, and the other couple percent was getting themselves ready for the season. So we was brought in for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to start a new regime.
No question.
I noticed on Instagram you gave credit to Nick Needham
Mm-hmm.
particularly, and I was going through some of what he's been playing through or doing, and I saw he played 26 snaps against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
He plays 90 against the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl, everybody's Super Bowl favorite going into the season,
Right.
going into this game. Did he acquit himself, and how proud were you of Nick and what he did bouncing back that quickly off of the Baltimore game?
Me and Nick is, I always say this, it's like a personal relationship with that guy, man. I love that guy like my brother as well as Cater, man. Those guys, man, and obviously, I love all the other guys as well, man. Don't get it mistaken, but it's a difference when you're an undrafted guy or you're a 7th round or you guys have just some kind of a different bond. You know what I mean? Because it's hard, like you get it. It's a little bit harder to make it in the league when you're late round guy or undrafted guy, no question. So it's almost like their paths run the same. So if I see them struggling or if I see a little doubt or anything in any guy, honestly, I try to do my best to say, hey, bro, it's not the end of the world. We're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? And just try to build confidence in guys. And I tell the team all the time, like, at the end of the day, is we all gonna make a mistake. Is how quick can we lift each other up and say, hey, we got your back? And especially in the back end, it's got to be a next play mentality. So I just let the guys know, especially like Nick, hey, I got your back, bro. Don't worry about it. Next play, you good. So I think he proved that. He's going to continue to prove that. And like I said, he stepped up in a big-time play back-to-back, I want to say, in the game. I think it was on one of those last 2 drives. He just did what he had to do. And I was just proud, man. And it kind of was a weight lifted off of his shoulders because, that's that confidence that you need as a player, especially as a defensive back, to know that you can make that play. You know what I mean? And so, kudos to Nick, man. Like I said, kudos to Nick. And also, man, X made a good play. I mean, just kudos to the guys, man. Cater's been playing well. Like everybody's been doing what they had to do to make sure the team win. And that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and that includes you. And I remember when you were here with the Giants, played a lot of special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they sprinkled in a defensive snap, even if it was in practice, you balled out. You made the play.
Yeah.
I watched back this game and again this Dolphins-Bills game, and on special teams, you're doing your thing. Like I see you fight through a double team twice as a gunner on punt.
Yeah.
One time to make a tackle. Another time you and Justin Bethel combined to down Morstead's punt at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that when you make those plays as consistently as really you have through your career on specials, does that help you get the opportunities that you get on defense, like the one in the red zone, and to make a play? Or are those things separate? Like, do you have special teams where everybody knows you're an ace? You know, you get 3-year contract as a free agent. The
Mhm.
Dolphins value you, prioritize you. And then is the defensive part of it of earning snaps in the secondary separate? Or do you see like a way to earn those by what you do?
I think it's always a correlation, honestly. I had a guy tell me, I think it was when I was a rookie, and it was Jason McCourty, and he was telling me about his career and all that good stuff, and he started on special teams and all that good stuff, and he was like, you know what, if you're a solid special teams guy, one thing for sure, you'll be at the game. He said, and the best ability is availability. So if you're always at the game, they're gonna find a way to keep using you, as long as you're producing. And obviously, I've been producing. For my recollection, every team I've been on, I've led the team in special team tackles. So, at the end of the day, I'm pretty a solidified tackler, and you can find a way to use speed, my speed on defense. So, I think those two entities are different in some sense because special teams obviously help field position, but at the end of the day, I don't see a true trend or correlation other than availability, just being at the game, being able to be available for the team. Um, but you still have to earn your right to play on special teams. You have to earn your right to play on defense. And obviously, defense, is a little bit more, I would say, tempo and shorter plays. Special teams kind of like, hey, free play type deal, just go make the play. So I think and they're a little different, but they kind of correlate and they have some complementary to each other.
Does your relationship, going back to your rookie year with Josh Boyer, the defensive coordinator now, has that made your assimilation into the system, and has that made that quicker and easier? Not that it wouldn't be anyway for
Mhm.
you. I mean, you're a vet, but is that also a level of trust from a coordinator that assures you that it is a meritocracy, and when you do make a play, that you are going to see those types of snaps again?
I think what I always like about Josh is that even from a rookie, it wasn't just a one man's play to make or one man's PT. It was whoever earned it, and it's week to week base. Like I said, I mean, you can play good one week, and they see a matchup this week, and it may change. So it just depends on what they see. But obviously, it's a production based business. So as long as you're producing, he's gonna find a way to put you on the field, and at the end of the day, he don't do favorites. I tell you that much. It's more of earning your position, earning your spot, earning your play time. And at the end of the day, when you do that, good things happen. And I think the relationship that we have, as far as me and Coach Boer is a true coach player relationship. And like I say, he's hard. He's hard on me because obviously he drafted me, so he's definitely hard on me, and his expectation is super high for me, and I wouldn't want to have it no other way. And like I said, I appreciate that because sometime in my career, I know the first 3 years, and I was kind of getting bounced around. I needed that. I was like, I'm kind of glad he was hard on me for that rookie year, because now everywhere else I go, it's kind of like, that's okay. That's pretty. I can deal with that. You know what I mean? So
I've seen worse. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I've seen a lot worse. But I appreciate him coaching me hard, and that's what he does. He makes sure that we're all prepared, and once you show him that you can play, and he's confident and trusts you as a player, then you'll find your way on the field somehow. You know what I mean? So I think that's what he does as a coach. He just there's no one player. It's like whoever's playing the best, and whoever's producing the most is who plays.
Yeah, that almost translates to my business too, where I realize that
Yeah.
as much as we all want freedom and things, I respond to structure
Hmm.
and constructive criticism. Like, if nobody ever tells you, if everybody always just pats you on the back and says
Yeah.
everything's fine, even when it's not, you don't get better, right?
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's good coaching.
Yeah, no question. That was actually good, really good coaching.
Um, how was that game exhausting? Because at the end of the game, we saw Josh Allen and some of the Bills, and your guys' defense playing, guys playing like Javon Holland and Nick, guys playing 90, 85 snaps. How exhausting was that for the team, and how crazy is it to turn around and play a Thursday night road game against last season's AFC Super Bowl representative in the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, the thing about the thing about this year here, in this particular game, as far as the Sunday and Thursday game, it's hot down here, but it'll be nice and cool down there. So that's always a plus for sure. But I think we got a lot of veteran guys in the sense of knows how to take care of their body, knows how to take care of business, and like I say, it's part of the business. Every team has to go through this quick turnaround and transition. We're on the early end of the spectrum, but we will be ready, and the guys will be ready. And I think at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to beat the Bills. The goal is to obviously get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, but it takes this turnaround to get there. So it's kind of like the next opponent, and we got to face obviously Cincinnati Thursday on quick turnaround. So we're going to be prepared for that, and we're going to go out there and do what we need to do to handle business.
So listen, since I have you, I have to ask you. I mean, we talked about some of the special teams successes.
Mm-hmm.
How much stuff are you giving Scherfeld about the butt punt? I mean, are you guys giving him a hard time here, or what's going on?
He was in the ice tub yesterday, and we was like, "Hey man, you're icing your butt on," and we both started laughing. But you know what? We're not giving him much too much of anything on it, because that kind of helped us in a way if you look at it. Those forces with that ball in the air was the same 3 to 4 seconds that it took to, for, I think it was McKenzie caught the ball on the last play to get the ball from the sideline to the middle of the field. So it worked out in the favor. So not too much, but like I say, it's something that you really don't expect to happen or want to happen in that situation. But in our case, it worked out perfectly fine.
That's right. And now listen, I probably should have told the listeners this right off the bat, but Keion, I think, might be the fastest person I've ever seen run in person.
Right.
And so I have to ask you this. Are you faster than Tyreek and Jalen Waddle? Because those guys, like watching on TV, they are burners. I've seen Hill play in person, and I know he is that fast.
Yeah.
I've never seen Waddle in person, but I've seen you, and you're a burner. So have you guys raced? Like, have you figured that out yet? What's going on?
I think we find it more entertaining if we don't race, because there's always a notion of who's the fastest. Guys are like, I'm the fastest this week. It's just what it is. You got fast guys all over the world, man. So I think we're more interested in, winning football games than racing each other. But I will tell you this. I think Tariq thinks he's the fastest guy in the NFL, but I know I'm the fastest guy in the NFL. According to next gen stats, I'm the fastest guy in the NFL. And at the end of the day, though, man, it's been, it's a blessing, man, to have that and to represent that. And I think I can prove that if I can ever get an interception and take it back to the house, I'll get up to about 24 miles per hour and I can just shut everything down.
24. Yeah. Did I hear somewhere you said that you were clocked at a 4.2 at one point?
Yeah, I ran up 24 miles per hour in my pro day at Wake Forest. I think it was like 24-1 or it was something crazy like that. But the scouts,
and that is stupid.
It was going crazy, man. So that's younger Keion. I was fresh off the track then in the NCAA's East Preliminary. So yeah, I was really ready to roll in.
Hey, on the subject of speed, you just jogged my memory of something. I was talking to Adoree Jackson last week in the Giants locker room, and there was a play in their last game where he kind of went down on the ground and he's kind of shaking his legs, kicking them, and it looked like he had a cramp or something.
Yeah.
But I asked him in the locker room, and he said that it was a hot day and his feet, the bottom of his feet got too hot on the turf. Has that ever happened to you? I'd never heard of that, but maybe I'm just not fast enough.
No, the turf, I mean, you got to think about it as a big patch of rubber, and the sun is beaming down on it, and your cleats is plastic. when rubber and plastic meets, it just everything gets hot. So something's got to melt. So what happens is the bottom of your cleats start to give out and melt, literally. So the heat from the turf, which is like 10 to 20 degrees hotter than anything else around it, again, the heat got to get somewhere. So it goes into your shoe, and obviously your feet is just collapsed in by the shoestrings and everything. So your whole entire foot, but especially the bottom of your foot, is just burning. So most guys, you'll see some people put water on their feet, which is the worst thing to do, because you got to think of water. It's like once you put water on it, what happens to water? It starts to boil, it starts to get hot, so your feet just gets hotter.
It's like a reactor.
Exactly. So you just got to deal with it. But it's tough playing football. It's a lot of other factors that people don't see and that people don't know about. Obviously, they just see the game, and at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Interesting. Well, we miss you up here in New York, New Jersey,
Thank
but
you, man.
yeah, thrilled to see all the success you're having early, both individually and as a team. And we'll be looking forward to watching you not only against the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday Night Football, but throughout the season. And like you said, the end goal is the Super Bowl in Glendale. Hopefully we'll see you guys there, Keion.
Appreciate it, guy.
All right, welcome back to our 2-minute drill. We're going to do a segment called In and Out. Here are teams and players I'm in on and I'm out on. We're going to start with Cooper Rush. I am in on the Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback right now with Dak Prescott out. Cooper Rush, the undrafted free agent out of Central Michigan, playing well under the bright lights on Monday Night Football, beating his former Giants team. 215 yards and a touchdown, and he would have had a lot more if his receivers could catch the football. I am in on Dallas Cowboys tight ends coach Lunda Wells, the former Giants assistant, and the young bucks he had pushing the Giants around in the run game, Peyton Hendershot and Jake Ferguson. I'm in on Tyler Smith, their rookie left tackle, who acquitted himself well in the spotlight and under the bright lights on ESPN on national television. I'm also in on Daniel Jones as a franchise quarterback, at least in this game, against that pass rush, facing that consistent pressure, facing almost one pressure every 2 dropbacks this season. The Giants didn't win. The Giants didn't score enough points. They still haven't scored a touchdown in the first half of a game. But Jones looked every bit the part of the quarterback the Giants want him to be against Dallas. He just didn't have enough help from his offensive line and from his wide receivers, with terrible drops at the end of the game in the clutch. I am out on Brandon Staley and the Los Angeles Chargers. I wasn't in on the hype train fully to begin with, but I am out on the fact that Staley appears to have abandoned his aggressive mindset and gone conservative early on in that game against the Chiefs. And now I'm out on the fact that Justin Herbert is playing through this rib cartilage injury at the end of a blowout loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Needs to be better leadership there. Chargers need to stay healthy. Injuries seem to be a problem for them every season. But Staley needs to get it together. And above all, he was coaching defense with the Rams. He needs to get the Chargers defense, which added some important and key and valuable and expensive pieces, to play better and to carry this team as Herbert heals. I'm still in on the Las Vegas Raiders, but I'll be out if they lose to the Denver Broncos. I don't know how much more I can watch of Darren Waller dropping passes in the end zone, of the Raiders starting slow and trying to play catch up. Chandler Jones is one of the best players I've seen play live in the last 5 or 6 years or 7 years covering the NFL, but I haven't heard his name nearly enough. And that pass rush on the defensive end needs to be better, and Devontae Adams needs to be more a part of the offensive game plan, and Derek Carr needs to raise it to the level that he was playing at the end of last season. I am out on the Vegas sports books, and I'm half joking here, but get this. The Chiefs were favored by 6.5 points going to Indianapolis last week. And I was talking to a good friend of mine. We're always talking about the betting lines, and he has a great mind and eye for everything regarding the sports books, line setting, and how it all goes in the NFL. And neither of us could figure out why that line was low Yes, 6.5 seemed low going into that. My only thought was that Harrison Butker is out, the kicker for the Chiefs, and maybe that accounted for a point here and there. But the Colts hadn't been able to do anything offensively. They got shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then sure enough, we're raising our eyebrows. We walk into the game. The Chiefs are muffing punts. They're faking field goals and failing. The Chiefs are shooting themselves in the foot, and the Colts win outright. I don't know what these sports books and these odds makers, I don't know where they get their information ahead of time. But man, what a scary line that was. And hopefully you didn't put your money down on Kansas City, as I certainly would have if I were able to, going into that game against Matt Ryan's desperate Colts team. And I am in on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe not the Ravens' chances at going all the way. Their defense isn't as good as it needs to be. But I am in on Lamar Jackson being in the MVP race and continuing to be one of the best players in the NFL and continuing to deserve a monster mega contract from the Ravens front office. That'll do it here for another episode of Talkin Ball. See you next time.